Captain Yalan Stone returned from the battlefield a hero. His ship, though damaged, landed with pride on the steel platform of the Federation's command base. Crowds cheered, soldiers saluted, and drones captured every moment. He had ended war that lasted 5 years, but Yalan didn't smile. He had seen too much, lost too many, and felt like a broken man inside. Later that night, in a quiet corner of the base, he was summoned by High Commander Rurik. The commander's face was cold, his eyes sharp. "You've done the impossible, Captain," he said. "And for that, the Federation gives you a reward." Yalan didn't want one, but he stayed silent, respectful. 2 guards entered the room, dragging behind them 2 young alien girls, twins. No older than 15, they wore simple clothes, their wrists chained, eyes lowered. "This is your prize," said Rurik. "They are yours now. Property of the Federation." Yalan's heart froze. He had heard of this. When human soldiers did something great, they were often given slaves from conquered alien races. It was wrong, cruel, but no one dared speak against it. Now it was happening to him. The 2 girls stood silently, one trembling, the other trying to hold her hand. They were thin, fragile, and clearly terrified. "I didn't ask for this," Yalan finally said, his voice low. "It's not about asking." Rurik replied, "It's tradition. Enjoy your reward, Captain." And with that, the commander left, leaving the girls with him. Yalan looked at them for a long moment. He didn't know their names, where they came from, or how they had ended up like this. One of the girls slowly looked up. Her eyes were not just sad, they were pleading. "Please," she whispered, "don't hurt my sister." Something inside Yalan cracked. He took off his coat and gently placed it over their shoulders. "You're safe now," he said softly. "I won't hurt either of you." He took them to his private quarters instead of the slave-holding cells. He removed their chains and gave them warm food. They didn't eat much at first, still scared, still watching his every move. Yalan sat nearby but kept his distance. He wanted them to feel safe, but he didn't know how to fix what had already been broken in their lives. That night, as he tried to sleep on the floor to give them the bed, he heard soft crying, not loud or dramatic, just quiet tears in the dark. He said nothing, just listened, and let them know he was still there. The next day, he asked for their names. The older one, who looked only slightly taller, said, "My name is Nara." She pointed to her sister. "And she's Lena." "Thank you," Yalan said. "I'm Yalan, and you're safe with me." They didn't believe him, not fully. Why would they? Everyone else had treated them like things, not people. Over the next few days, he kept them hidden. He told the guards that he had locked them up as expected, but in truth, he gave them clothes, clean beds, and books to read. Nara began to speak more, asking questions, curious about humans. Lena remained quiet, but her eyes no longer looked so empty. Then strange things started happening. Yalan would come back to find small items floating mid-air. Doors would close by themselves, and once, his broken arm from the war stopped hurting overnight. He suspected the twins had abilities they were hiding. He didn't ask, he didn't want to scare them again, but deep down, he knew they were more than just alien slaves. They were special, different, and powerful in ways even they didn't understand yet. One morning, as they were eating together, Lena finally spoke. In a small voice, she said, "They'll come for us soon." Yalan paused, his spoon halfway to his mouth. "Who?" he asked gently. "The ones who lost us," she replied, "and the ones who want to own us again." That same evening, Yalan received a message from the Federation's inner security. A high-ranking general was coming for inspection. He was known for checking how slaves were being handled and punishing those who broke the rules. Yalan looked at the girls, who now sat reading quietly, unaware of the storm coming. He had a choice to make. Hide them better, lie to the general, or give them up and protect his career. But Yalan had already made his choice the moment Nara whispered those words on the first night. He wouldn't treat them like property. He would protect them, no matter what it cost him. The gift he never asked for had become the responsibility he was never ready for. But maybe, just maybe, it was also his chance to finally do something truly right. Captain Yalan Stone became more careful with every passing day. Ever since he took Nara and Lena into his care, things around his quarters had changed, not just in mood, but in strange, quiet ways that no one else seemed to notice. The twins barely spoke to others, and even to Yalan, they stayed cautious, but in their silence, something unusual started to reveal itself. One morning, Yalan woke up early, as usual. He stayed on the floor, letting the girls sleep on the small bed. But today, his arm didn't ache. The old war wound that had troubled him for years was gone. He sat up slowly, moved it around, shocked. There had been no doctor, no injection, no healing device. Only Lena had sat beside him last night, holding his hand quietly before sleep. Later, while he was outside speaking to a fellow officer, a sharp alarm blared. He rushed back to his room, heart pounding. Inside, he found the girls huddled together near a shattered light panel. Sparks flickered, tools lay scattered, but strangely, neither girl had a scratch. He asked what happened, but they gave no answer, only wide eyes and trembling hands. As the days passed, small objects began moving on their own. Books shifted slightly when no one touched them. Doors unlocked, lights dimmed without command. Yalan kept a log in his personal tablet. He didn't believe in ghosts, but he did believe in tech. And what he was seeing didn't match anything logical. One night, he decided to test a theory. He placed a broken military drone on the desk before leaving for his shift. The device hadn't worked for months. Even engineers had given up on it. When he returned later, the drone sat upright, lights blinking softly, fully repaired. He looked at the girls, and this time, Nara met his gaze without fear. "You fixed it, didn't you?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, then gave the slightest nod. "But how?" he asked. "You've never trained in tech." "We feel the parts," Nara said. "We talk to machines with our minds." Yalan leaned back, stunned. Telepathic technomancy, he had heard of it in rumors. Rare alien abilities, hunted and enslaved by the Federation because they were seen as threats. Now he understood. The twins weren't just property in the eyes of the Federation. They were dangerous assets, and if anyone found out, they'd be dissected or turned into living weapons. He made a silent promise then. He would protect their secret, even if it meant risking everything. But the base had eyes everywhere. Security bots patrolled the halls, and command officers often visited quarters without warning. Yalan installed manual locks and camera blockers. He told the girls to never use their powers unless it was life or death. Still, he worried, and his worries grew when he heard whispers in the officer mess hall. "Stone's been acting strange," someone said. "He hasn't logged slave activity reports," said another. "I heard he treats them like guests, not property." Yalan kept his head down and ate silently. But inside, alarms rang louder than ever. If those rumors reached the wrong ears, everything would collapse. That evening, while Nara was sleeping, Lena approached Yalan quietly. Her eyes, always silent, now held a serious look. "Someone is watching," she said, voice calm but firm. Yalan asked, "How do you know?" "I can hear them." "In their minds," she replied. "They want to take us soon." Yalan looked at her, surprised not just by her words, but by the calm way she said them. She wasn't just scared, she was ready. "Do you know who?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not yet, but they wear black gloves." Yalan knew what that meant. The internal order secret officers who dealt with non-human threats. If they had interest in the twins, then time was running out. He began preparing an escape plan. Old contacts, hidden codes, emergency routes. He started putting them together. But he couldn't leave yet. The twins needed time to recover, and he needed a ship. Leaving the base without authorization meant execution, but staying meant death. For the girls, that night he had a dream. He saw Nara standing in a field of stars, her hands glowing with blue energy. Behind her, Lena floated slightly above the ground. eyes white with power. Together, they looked like queens, like beings born from the stars. Not slaves. When he woke, sweat ran down his back. It wasn't just a dream, it was a warning or a glimpse of what they truly were. The next day, the command center announced a surprise inspection. General Vorn was coming, a man known for cruelty and mind scans. He had exposed dozens of officers before, and now he would be here in Jalen's room within the hour. Jalen turned to the girls, his face serious. "You need to hide," he said, "and no matter what happens, don't come out." Nara nodded, already sensing the danger. Lena placed her hand on his chest. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered. The door buzzed. Inspection had begun. General Vorn arrived without a smile. His boots clicked sharply against the metal floor as he walked down the hallway. Everyone stood straighter when he passed. He was known for his mind-scanning tech and brutal honesty. He didn't just inspect soldiers, he exposed secrets, tore through lies, and punished traitors without mercy. Captain Jalen Stone stood outside his quarters, pretending to be calm. Inside, Nara and Lena hid in the small space behind the storage wall. It was dark and narrow, but safe at least for now. He had instructed them not to make a sound, not even breathe loud. The door opened with a hiss, and General Vorn entered, followed by 2 guards and a scanning drone. "Captain Stone," the general said, voice cold and steady, "you've been avoiding standard reports." "Yes, sir," Jalen replied. "I've been focused on healing and recovery." The general narrowed his eyes. "You were given alien property as a reward, correct?" Jalen nodded. "I want to see them," Vorn said without emotion. Jalen's heart skipped. "They are resting," he said carefully. "They've been quiet, no problems." Vorn didn't respond. He turned to the drone and gave it a silent command. The floating orb scanned the room with a soft hum. Red light flashing across the walls. In the hidden compartment, Nara squeezed Lena's hand tightly. They didn't speak, but their minds were linked. Nara whispered into her sister's thoughts. "Stay calm, don't move." Lena nodded silently. They felt the drone's signal brushing against their skin like invisible fingers. They both focused their energy inward, trying to mask their presence. The drone hovered near the storage wall, paused, then moved away. Jalen held his breath the entire time. General Vorn walked slowly around the room, his eyes scanning every corner. He picked up a datapad from the table, examined a few logs, and placed it down. Then, without warning, he turned and stared directly at Jalen. "You've shown kindness," Vorn said. "More than usual." Jalen didn't answer. "Kindness leads to weakness," the general continued, "and weakness is dangerous in command." "I understand, sir," Jalen replied calmly. Vorn stepped closer, his presence heavy. "Do not forget what the Federation is built upon," he said. "Control, discipline, and order." Jalen nodded once more, hiding his true feelings behind a blank stare. Just then, the drone made a beeping noise. It had picked up a slight energy pulse, faint but strange. Vorn turned toward it, frowning. "Scan again," he ordered. The drone repeated the sweep, this time more slowly. Inside the wall, Lena began to shake. Nara placed both hands on her sister's cheeks and whispered telepathically. "I will protect you." Lena blinked, and her eyes briefly flashed with blue light. Just then, a wave of invisible force pulsed through the room, gentle but powerful. The drone's lights flickered and went dim. Then it dropped to the floor, completely dead. Vorn spun around, his voice sharp. "What just happened?" Jalen stepped forward quickly, trying to cover the moment. "These old models glitch sometimes, sir," he said. "Especially in older quarters with faulty circuits." The general stared at the fallen drone, then at Jalen. He didn't believe him, but he had no proof. "This inspection isn't over," Vorn said slowly. "I'll return tomorrow with a full scan team." "Yes, sir," Jalen replied, keeping his tone respectful. Without another word, the general left the room, his guards following behind. As the door closed, Jalen rushed to the hidden wall and tapped the emergency release. The panel slid open, revealing Nara and Lena, both pale and trembling. "You were almost discovered," he whispered. "We tried to stop the drone without harming anyone," Nara said. "You did good," Yalan said, kneeling beside them. "But now we're out of time." That night, Yalan activated a hidden channel. On his communicator, he called an old friend, a smuggler named Tarek, who owed him a life debt. "I need a way off the base," Yalan said. "Me and 2 passengers, aliens?" Tarek asked. Yalan didn't answer directly. "Can you help or not?" Tarek paused, then said, "Meet me in Dock 7 in 2 nights. Yalan closed the line and turned to the girls. "We're leaving," he said. "Where will we go?" Lena asked softly. "Somewhere no one owns anyone," Yalan replied. Nara looked at him for a long time, then smiled just a little, for the first time since they met. She didn't look afraid, but outside in the shadows of the hallway, a security camera blinked to life. It had recorded the drone's shutdown, and its feed had already been sent to a secret folder in the Federation network. Someone was watching, and they were very interested in Yalan Stone's secret guests. Captain Yalan Stone didn't sleep that night. He kept checking the hidden entrance in his quarters, listening to every noise outside. The inspection by General Vorn had shaken him deeply. Now he knew for sure someone had seen something. Someone was watching. He paced the room while the twin alien girls, Nara and Lena, sat silently on the bed. Nara held her sister close, keeping her calm. Yalan finally stopped walking and looked at them. "We leave tomorrow night," he said. "Pack only what you can carry. We'll need to move fast." "Where will we go?" Nara asked. "I have a contact," Yalan replied. "Dock 7, far side of the base, low security zone," Lena whispered. "Will he help us?" Yalan didn't answer immediately. "He owes me," he finally said. "But yes, I believe he will." The next day passed slowly, filled with tension. Yalan followed his usual schedule to avoid suspicion. He filed fake reports, attended briefings, and returned to his quarters without attracting attention. But everywhere he went, he felt eyes on him. Security bots paused near him longer than usual. Doors took extra time to open, and when he looked up once during lunch, he saw a black-gloved officer staring straight at him. Back in his room, Nara practiced controlling her powers. She learned how to focus her energy into small movements, unlocking doors, jamming signals, shifting light. Lena was quieter, but her mind was sharper. She could sense emotions, detect danger, and sometimes even feel someone's thoughts if they were close enough. Yalan gave them each a small communicator and an emergency pulse chip. "If we get separated," he told them, "trigger this, and I'll find you." The girls nodded, their trust in him now stronger than fear. Finally, night fell. They wore maintenance worker uniforms to blend in. Yalan carried a sealed case of fake orders. The plan was simple: move through service corridors, avoid scanners, and meet Tarek at Dock 7. Everything went smoothly at first. They moved through dimly lit tunnels, stepped over inactive wiring panels, and bypassed guards using hacked codes. Nara used her ability to disable 2 cameras without touching them. Lena sensed a patrol approaching before they turned the corner, allowing them to hide just in time. When they finally reached Dock 7, the large cargo bay was nearly empty. Only one ship waited near the edge, engine humming gently. Tarek stood beside it, a scarred man with cybernetic eyes and a greasy coat. He smiled when he saw Yalan. "Didn't think you'd actually come," he said. "I always keep my word," Yalan replied. "Are we clear to launch?" Tarek nodded. "For now." He looked at the twins, his smile fading slightly. "Didn't know your passengers were this rare," he muttered. "They're under my protection," Yalan said firmly. They boarded the ship quickly. Inside, it was old but functional, with tight hallways and flickering lights. Tarek guided them to a small storage area he had converted into a hidden compartment. "Stay here during liftoff," he said to the girls. "Scan blocked, heat masked, safe." Yalan thanked him. Tarek shrugged. "Like I said, You saved my life once, I owe you. But something felt off. Jalen's instincts, sharpened by years of war, whispered that something wasn't right. Still, they had no choice. He took position near the cockpit. Watching the launch process begin, outside, the bay doors opened slowly, revealing the stars beyond. Freedom was just minutes away. Suddenly, red lights flashed. A loud alarm echoed across the bay. "Unauthorized vessel detected," said a mechanical voice. "All security units respond immediately." Yalen turned sharply to Turek. "What's happening?" Turek didn't answer. Instead, he backed away, his hand moving toward the control panel. "You sold us out," Yalen said, voice cold. Turek sighed. "I didn't want to. But they paid me triple what I owed you. You coward," Yalen growled. Before Turek could hit the lock button, a wave of blue energy hit him from behind. He fell to the floor, unconscious. Behind him stood Lena, eyes glowing, hand outstretched. "I felt his thoughts," she said. "He was going to trap us." Yalen rushed to the cockpit and overrode the launch lock. The ship lifted, shaking violently as external weapons fired. Toward them, Nara joined him and used her mind to redirect some of the targeting systems. "Shield levels holding," she said calmly. "Just fly. We'll handle the rest." The ship burst through the atmosphere, dodging laser fire. Yalen flew with precision, heart pounding. Once they were clear of the planet, he set course for an old rebel station hidden in the asteroid belt. He locked in the coordinates and looked back at the girls. They were bruised, tired, but alive and free. Behind them, the Federation planet shrank into the distance. But the danger wasn't over. The betrayal would be reported, their names would be flagged, and the Federation would not forget. Still, for the first time in a long while, Yalen felt something strange. Not fear, not regret, but hope. The stars outside the ship stretched like silver threads as they entered deep space. Captain Yalen Stone kept his hands firm on the controls, guiding the old smuggler's ship toward the asteroid belt. Behind him, the twin alien girls, Nara and Lena, sat silently, their faces pale but calm. They had escaped, but they had lost their safety, their shelter, and any chance of ever returning to a normal life. Yalen didn't speak much during the flight. He was focused on reaching the destination, a hidden rebel outpost, carved into the heart of an asteroid cluster. It was known as Drift Haven, a place where no governments ruled. Smugglers, rebels, and exiles all passed through it. And most importantly, no one asked questions. Nara stood beside him as the ship approached the hidden beacon. "It's beautiful," she whispered, looking out the window at the glowing rocks floating in space. "It's dangerous," Yalen replied, "but it's the only place where you'll be safe for now." Lena, still quiet, touched the ship's console gently. It hummed under her fingers, like it recognized her. "She's calming it," Nara said softly. "She speaks to machines better than she speaks with words." Yalen smiled faintly. "That might come in handy here." When they landed inside the asteroid dock, masked figures were already waiting. Yalen walked down the ramp, holding his hands visible. A tall woman stepped forward, her face marked with old scars and eyes glowing with cyber implants. "You're late," she said. "You're still alive." Yalen replied with a half smile. She chuckled. "You always bring trouble." Her name was Kale, a former Federation pilot turned rebel commander. She owed Yalen a favor from a war no one liked to remember. He explained everything quietly and quickly about the girls, their powers, and the Federation's hunt. Kale looked at the twins, then back at Yalen. "They're not just aliens," she said. "There's something else." "They're children," Yalen replied. "Children who never got a chance to live." Kale agreed to help. She gave them a hidden room deep inside the outpost, away from scanners and patrols. The walls were old, but the room was warm. For the first time in months, the girls could sleep without fear. Days passed. Yalen worked with Kale's crew to earn their keep fixing old weapons, securing supply lines, watching for spies. But he always returned to the twins each night. Nara began reading human books, learning fast. She asked questions about Earth, about kindness, about family. Lena spent time with the outposts broken. Tech quietly fixing things no one else could repair. The rebels started to trust them, and slowly the girls began to laugh again. But peace didn't last long. One evening, while Yalin was in the command center, a strange signal came through the outer relays. It was encrypted, bouncing from multiple satellites. Kale traced it back to a Federation Scout Probe 1 that had passed too close to the belt. "They're looking for something," Kale said. "Or someone." Jalen's stomach dropped. "They found our trail." That night, he sat with the girls and told them the truth. "The Federation won't stop," he said. "They want your power, your minds, your obedience." "We won't go back," Nara said firmly. "You won't," Yalin promised. "But running forever isn't living." That's when Nara stood up. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, "about who we really are." She took a deep breath and reached into the pocket of her worn jacket. Inside was a small, crystal smooth and glowing faintly blue. "This was hidden in my skin when they captured us," she said. She placed it on the table, and it began to project images of tall alien towers, twin moons, and golden skies. "That's our home planet," she said. Or it was. The projection showed fire raining from the sky, cities burning, and ships fleeing into space. "Our family ruled a peaceful planet," Nara continued. "But the Federation destroyed it, took everything, and hunted down the royal bloodline." "You're not just gifted," Yalin whispered. "You're royalty." Lena looked down, voice trembling. "They killed our parents in front of us," she said. "We ran, hid, but they found us again, and sold us as prizes." Yalin sat in silence, the weight of their truth settling deep inside him. He had saved 2 alien girls, but now he realized he had also rescued the last heirs of a lost world. This wasn't just about escape anymore. It was about justice. The next day, Kale gathered her crew and asked one question: "Are we ready to make the Federation bleed?" Cheers filled the chamber. A plan began to form quietly, carefully. The Federation thought the twins were property. But soon, they would learn Nara and Lena were more than survivors. They were symbols of something powerful. A new rebellion had just begun, and at its heart were 2 alien sisters. And the human who chose to set them free. Word spread quickly through Drifthaven, not as a shout, but as a whisper, soft, careful, and powerful. The Federation's most wanted fugitives weren't just rebels or runaways. They were royal, too. Alien twins believed to be extinct were alive, and they had found sanctuary among humans and outcasts. Captain Yalin Stone stood in the middle of the outpost's war chamber. Around him, ex-Federation officers, alien leaders, and smugglers gathered around a flickering holomap. Kale, the rebel commander, pointed at a sector deep inside the Orion Rim. "Slave transport routes pass through here," she said. "If we hit them, we save hundreds, maybe thousands." Nara stepped forward, her voice strong. "We don't just want to run. We want to free others like us." Since the night she revealed her true identity, everything had changed. The twins were no longer afraid. They were determined. Kale's rebels agreed to join the mission. Yalin trained the crew on infiltration, silent takedowns, and zero-gravity combat. Meanwhile, Nara and Lena focused on sharpening their powers. With help from the outpost's tech experts, they practiced energy control, telepathy, and machine linking. Lena even learned to speak through a ship's systems, guiding it as if it were part of her own body. It was more than training, it was transformation. The twins, once broken and silent, were now leaders. Their first mission came fast. A Federation cargo freighter known as the Viper's Claw carried dozens of alien prisoners. Its path passed through a narrow asteroid field, perfect for an ambush. Yalin led the assault team. He piloted a sleek rebel craft, dodging rocks and enemy scanners. Nara sat beside him, directing energy pulses through her hands to jam long-range communication. Lena rode with Kale, hidden inside a disguised maintenance ship. controlling hacking drones with her mind. When the freighter entered the trap zone, the attack began. Explosive charges disabled the engines. Rebel fighters swarmed in, blasting turrets and cutting off escape routes. Yalin and his team boarded the ship through a side hatch. Weapons drawn, the guards fought back, but they were unprepared. Nara created energy shields to protect the team. Lena remotely locked down enemy weapons and opened every prison cell from afar. When the alien captives saw their rescuers, many fell to their knees. Some cried, some screamed in disbelief. No one had ever come for them before. Yalin helped carry the injured while the girls guided the freed prisoners to the waiting shuttles. It was chaos, but a beautiful kind. A kind built from hope, not fear. By the end of the mission, the Federation freighter was destroyed, and nearly 70 prisoners had been rescued. The outpost welcomed them with open arms, offering food, shelter, and healing. Some were too weak to speak. Others asked only one question: who did this? Nara stood before them with her sister and Yalin at her side. "We did," she said, "and we'll do it again." The next few weeks were filled with more raids, more rescues, and more victories. A network began to grow. Old Federation soldiers who regretted their past, aliens with nothing left to lose, even humans who hated slavery, they all joined. The movement didn't have a flag or a name, but it had something stronger: purpose. People called Yalin the Ghost Captain, some called Nara the Starborn Queen, and Lena became known as the voice of the machine. They were legends now, and the Federation noticed. In a high tower far across the galaxy, a council of admirals watched the reports with growing anger. "They are disrupting control," one said. "They are undoing years of order," another growled. The High Commander stepped forward, his face hidden beneath a silver mask. "Then we crush them," he said coldly. "We destroy Drift Haven and bring the twins back alive." Meanwhile, back at the rebel outpost, Yalin stood alone on the outer deck, watching the stars. He had fought wars before, but this felt different. He wasn't fighting for medals or orders. He was fighting for something: pure freedom, family, and the future. Nara joined him, her hair glowing softly under the light of nearby stars. "You look worried," she said. "I am," Yalin replied. "The Federation won't stay quiet forever. They're coming, aren't they?" "Yes," he said, "and when they do, they'll bring everything." Nara placed her hand on his shoulder. "We won't run this time," she said. "We'll stand together." He looked at her, then toward the sky. "They wanted slaves," he said softly, "but they created warriors instead." At that moment, alarms echoed through the outpost. A Federation fleet had jumped into nearby space. The final battle was about to begin. The sky above Drift Haven turned red with warning lights. Federation warships dropped out of hyperspace like angry shadows. Dozens of them, sleek and deadly, surrounding the asteroid belt like a trap closing in. The final storm had arrived, and Captain Yalin Stone knew. Deep in his bones, there was no more running. Inside the command chamber, alarms blared. Kale's voice echoed through every speaker in the outpost. "All hands to battle positions. Prepare for full invasion." Yalin stood at the center of the war room, flanked by Nara and Lena. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was the moment where they would choose what kind of future to fight for. Nara stepped forward, her face calm. "They think we're weak," she said to the room. "They think we'll kneel just like before." She looked around at the rebels, the rescued, the wounded, and the willing. "But we are not slaves. Not anymore. And we," she added, her voice rising, "are not alone." Cheers erupted, fists raised, across the base. Ships powered up, defenses activated, and weapons came alive. Lena moved into the central systems, her mind linking with the base AI. She could feel the Federation's approach like footsteps echoing in her thoughts. "They'll breach us in 10 minutes, she said, eyes glowing white. "I'll slow them down." Yalin led the first wave of defense. He boarded a fast strike fighter, joined by Kale and a dozen rebel ships. As they launched into space, enemy cruisers opened fire. The sky became a firestorm of lasers, missiles, and spinning debris, but Yalin flew like lightning, dodging blasts, leading the charge. Kale's team hit the left flank, disabling one of the Federation's communication towers. Meanwhile, Lena shut down several enemy drones mid-air. Using only her mind, ships began to explode, both sides losing ground. It was chaos raw and unstoppable. Back in the outpost, Nara led a team of former slaves who now fought as warriors. She created energy shields, shielding her team as they pushed back incoming troops trying to land. "Hold the gate," she shouted. "This is our home now," the rebels fought with everything they had: grenades, rifles, blades, even bare hands. And slowly, they began to hold their ground. Suddenly, the main power core flickered. Lena gasped, clutching her chest. "They've planted a virus in our systems," she said. "They're trying to shut me out." She closed her eyes, pushing her consciousness deeper into the machine's code. With sweat on her forehead, she battled the virus in digital space line by line. Code against code. Outside, Jalen's ship took a hit, spiraling through space. He barely regained control, flames trailing behind him. "Kale, regroup," he shouted. "Focus fire on their command cruiser." He dove through enemy fire and locked onto the largest ship in the fleet. "This ends now," he growled, launching the last of his missiles inside Drift Haven. Lena let out a sharp breath. "I did it," she whispered. System back online. With full control returned, she turned the station's defense turrets on high power. Explosions filled the sky as Federation ships began to fall. Nara, bloodied but standing, led the final ground charge. She faced the commander of the Federation landing team, a tall armored officer with cold, dead eyes. "Your property," he snarled, raising his weapon. "Not anymore," she replied, her hands glowing with pure energy. With a final burst, she sent him flying through the air, unconscious before he hit the ground. Jalen's missile hit the enemy cruiser's core. A massive explosion lit up the coast. Galaxy like a new sun. Federation forces, confused and leaderless, began to retreat. Cheers broke out on every channel. Victory. As the last enemy ship disappeared into hyperspace, silence fell. A quiet, heavy silence. Like the end of a long nightmare, Drift Haven stood damaged, but alive. Later, in the healing bay, Yalin sat beside Nara and Lena, both resting but smiling. "You were incredible," he said. Nara laughed weakly. "So were you." Lena looked up at him. "We won't run anymore." Yalin nodded slowly. "No," he said. "From now on we build." The next day, people gathered in the central hall. Aliens, humans, rebels all together. Nara stood before them and spoke. "This is not the end. This is the beginning," she said. "We'll find others like us, and we'll give them what we never had: freedom." And so the movement grew. From one man who refused to treat slaves as things. From two girls who refused to stay silent. From the forgotten who rose from the ashes. They weren't just survivors. They were a family. A spark that would light the galaxy forever. The sky above Drift Haven turned red with warning lights. Federation warships dropped out of hyperspace like angry shadows. Dozens of them, sleek and deadly, surrounding the asteroid belt like a trap closing in. The final storm had arrived, and Captain Yalin Stone knew. Deep in his bones, there was no more running. Inside the command chamber, alarms blared. Kale's voice echoed through every speaker in the outpost. "All hands to battle positions. Prepare for full invasion." Yalin stood at the center of the war room, flanked by Nara and Lena. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was the moment where they would choose what kind of future to fight for. Nara stepped forward, her face calm. "They think we're weak," she said to the room. "They think we'll kneel just like before." She looked around at the rebels, the rescued, the wounded, and the willing. "But we are not slaves. Not anymore. And we," she added, her voice rising, "are not alone." Cheers erupted, fists raised, across the base. Ships powered up, defenses activated, and weapons came alive. Lena moved into the central systems, her mind linking with the base AI. She could feel the Federation's approach like footsteps echoing in her thoughts. "They'll breach us in 10 minutes, she said, eyes glowing white. "I'll slow them down." Yalin led the first wave of defense. He boarded a fast strike fighter, joined by Kale and a dozen rebel ships. As they launched into space, enemy cruisers opened fire. The sky became a firestorm of lasers, missiles, and spinning debris, but Yalin flew like lightning, dodging blasts, leading the charge. Kale's team hit the left flank, disabling one of the Federation's communication towers. Meanwhile, Lena shut down several enemy drones mid-air. Using only her mind, ships began to explode, both sides losing ground. It was chaos raw and unstoppable. Back in the outpost, Nara led a team of former slaves who now fought as warriors. She created energy shields, shielding her team as they pushed back incoming troops trying to land. "Hold the gate," she shouted. "This is our home now," the rebels fought with everything they had: grenades, rifles, blades, even bare hands. And slowly, they began to hold their ground. Suddenly, the main power core flickered. Lena gasped, clutching her chest. "They've planted a virus in our systems," she said. "They're trying to shut me out." She closed her eyes, pushing her consciousness deeper into the machine's code. With sweat on her forehead, she battled the virus in digital space line by line. Code against code. Outside, Jalen's ship took a hit, spiraling through space. He barely regained control, flames trailing behind him. "Kale, regroup," he shouted. "Focus fire on their command cruiser." He dove through enemy fire and locked onto the largest ship in the fleet. "This ends now," he growled, launching the last of his missiles inside Drift Haven. Lena let out a sharp breath. "I did it," she whispered. System back online. With full control returned, she turned the station's defense turrets on high power. Explosions filled the sky as Federation ships began to fall. Nara, bloodied but standing, led the final ground charge. She faced the commander of the Federation landing team, a tall armored officer with cold, dead eyes. "Your property," he snarled, raising his weapon. "Not anymore," she replied, her hands glowing with pure energy. With a final burst, she sent him flying through the air, unconscious before he hit the ground. Jalen's missile hit the enemy cruiser's core. A massive explosion lit up the coast. Galaxy like a new sun. Federation forces, confused and leaderless, began to retreat. Cheers broke out on every channel. Victory. As the last enemy ship disappeared into hyperspace, silence fell. A quiet, heavy silence. Like the end of a long nightmare, Drift Haven stood damaged, but alive. Later, in the healing bay, Yalin sat beside Nara and Lena, both resting but smiling. "You were incredible," he said. Nara laughed weakly. "So were you." Lena looked up at him. "We won't run anymore." Yalin nodded slowly. "No," he said. "From now on we build." The next day, people gathered in the central hall. Aliens, humans, rebels all together. Nara stood before them and spoke. "This is not the end. This is the beginning," she said. "We'll find others like us, and we'll give them what we never had: freedom." And so, the movement grew. From one man who refused to treat slaves as things. From two girls who refused to stay silent. From the forgotten who rose. From the ashes, they weren't just survivors. They were a family. A spark that would light the galaxy forever.